Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing tonight? It is almost 1 a.m. And I'm going to get a little vlogging in and then listen to my audiobook, which I don't know which audiobook I'm going to listen to next. And then I'm going to, where's that Tupelo Honey? That's my new favorite chapstick. Here it is, right here. Thank you, Delia. I was going to show all the P.O. Box stuff today, but I'm going to show it tomorrow because I have it on the kitchen counter. And then I'm going to listen to my audiobook for a little bit, and then I'll probably come back and finish my vlog. So, I actually finished the Israel Keys book today, which was so interesting. It was so good. We got up today, and we went to brunch, and it was Alex and I, and Fufu and his girlfriend, and Sarah, and then our friend that was visiting from Dallas, and we went and had brunch, and it was really a good time. And then Alex went home, and he started watching Big Little Lies, and I listened to the rest of my audiobook, and then I slept and took a very long nap. And I didn't film any videos today on my channel. I had planned to, but it just got kind of late in the day by the time that I was finished listening to my audiobook. And I just wanted to finish it because it was so good. It is such a great book. And somebody is texting me. I can't remember who it is. It was really, really scary. So, yeah, you guys should participate in this. You still have 20 days left, about 20 days, to listen to the audiobook and participate in the live book discussion. Apparently, I was talking to Mel. I did talk to Mel today for a little bit, and she said, we were trying to pick the book for September, and she said that a lot of people were in the Goodreads thread talking about it. It's really good, and if you guys don't know much about the case, he was apprehended in 2012, and after kidnapping and murdering this girl in Alaska, but he had actually kidnapped and killed a lot of people all across the United States. And one of the cases that they referenced, he was in Indianapolis a lot. His two sisters lived in Indianapolis for a while. And one of the things that's interesting about the case that, I mean, I didn't know anything going into this case. I had never heard of him, which is surprising to me. When you read the book, like, he was methodical. Like, he read all of these FBI articles, and he read all of these books. Like, he read Mindhunter by John Douglas, and I mean, he read, like, he was, they even question at one point that he's doing, like, plastic surgery to like in Mexico to have like his fingerprints like removed, and that he was trying to turn himself into like this bionic serial killer. It's so beyond bizarre. And like, he completely manipulates the FBI. Like, the first half of the book is really about this missing girl, and the second half of the book is the FBI and the police investigation, and really mostly their interviews and trying to find out where like other missing people are that he took. And he would keep these like kits all over the country. He would bury them and then come back to them 2 and 5 years later. But like, he knew where he had kept them, like, he just from memory alone. And it just was, I mean, it was crazy book. But one of the cases that they threw out there, they suspected that they wondered if maybe he didn't commit, was the Lauren Spurrier case. I think that's how you pronounce her name, from Indiana. Because he was in Indiana the day, like, they had toll booth records of him going through Indiana on the day that she went missing. So Lauren Spurrier is this girl that was a student at Indiana University in Bloomington. It was a huge, I think it still is a huge case. It was a huge case here. She had gone to a party and then just disappeared after the party. Nobody had any idea. I don't think she's ever been found. They don't know anything about the case. They have no leads, no suspects. It's a cold case to this day. And he supposedly was in Indiana the day that it happened. And so, and like in the interview, they like throw her picture down and they're like, did you, kill this girl? And he said something like, well, now you have your work cut out for you, or something like that. Like, he doesn't give them anything. And the whole thing is really like mastermind manipulation, that he's manipulating them to tell them what he wants to tell them and things like that. It's crazy, you know? And at the end of the book, I could literally tell you everything that happened in the book and you would still find it incredibly interesting. But Maureen Callahan, who wrote the book, fantastic writer, fantastic researcher. And I mean, she gives personality to these people, and just each of the investigators, FBI agents, the police officers, the family members, all of it. I mean, she does such a great job writing about this case. And one of the things that she says at the end that's really scary is she said, well, she talks about a new age of a serial killer and a digital age. And she talks about, like, the progression of the mind of a serial killer, and that there probably are others out there like him right now that we're not even aware of. That people are just literally going missing and nobody even, like, and he would pick, like, small areas that people wouldn't really, like, focus a lot. He didn't want media attention on it. Like, later in the book, he does. He wants some media attention, kind of. But he never wanted, like, he knew that if the cases got media attention, then he didn't have as good a chance to continue. I mean, he was methodical. It was crazy. And he referenced Silence of the Lambs a lot. And so, yeah. What was I going to say? But at the end of the book, she said, any one of us could have been a victim. There's this one case that happened in Boca Raton, Florida, and it's really crazy. And she doesn't really say what I was thinking in the book, but it's the Boca Raton killer or something like that. I can't remember what his name is, but anyway. And he takes, like, 3 different sets of people, and it's always a mother and a child, and from this upscale mall in Boca Raton, and they all have black SUVs with tinted windows. And, well, I guess one woman didn't have any kids, and he killed her. Well, they don't know. They never find out if he actually did it or not. But one woman was killed. Then another woman and her daughter were killed. And then a mother and her son were taken, but he didn't kill them. And I'm sitting there listening to the book because nobody believed her when she reported it. She came back and she had all these, like, ties around her and everything, and the police didn't believe her. They thought she was crazy and making the whole story up. And I'm sitting there thinking, this was a dry run for him. Like, he was practicing this. Like, he would do that. Like, it was just, it's unreal. And it's really, really scary to think that, you know, that, you know, I drive so much at night listening to audiobooks and stuff, and I'll stop and I'll go into a gas station and, you know, get a bag of chips when I'm not on my diet, or, you know what I mean? Like, just stop in a Walmart parking lot or go into Meijer or whatever, and I'm thinking to myself, that's really kind of scary, you know? Okay, I'm gonna pull in here and see who is texting me. Moon is pretty. See, just like this, pulling into the parking lot of this empty Red Roof Inn, Golden Corral. I'll lock my door. So anyway, I listened to that and I finally finished it today. It was good. It was really, really good. And then Mel and I were talking today because we did, like, the summer of serial killers. So she said people are kind of, like, over the serial killer thing. So we're thinking about doing something completely different for September. And then she's picking the October book, which will be something about the mob, probably, because she wants to read a mob book. Because it's her birthday. And then November, we've already kind of discussed what we're talking about, but I said to her today, I think the book might be really long. And then December, we actually have the book picked out already. And then I think going into January, what we're going to do is she's going to pick a month, I'm going to pick a month, she's going to pick a month, I'm going to pick a month. We're going to go back and forth. So that's what we're going to maybe do. We kind of discussed that for a little bit. yeah, and that was really my day. It was really pretty simple. I don't know what I want to listen to next. I went to the bookstore today, and because I'm doing like a read-along on my BookTube channel called Supermarket Reads. I think I've talked about it on here. And it's basically just like pulp novels that you can get at the grocery store when you're there or whatever. And so I picked Void Moon by Michael Connelly because it's about this like con artist girl that's from LA, and she goes back to Las Vegas. And since I'm going to be in Las Vegas, I was like, well, this will be the perfect book. I'll take that while I'm reading it there. It's a reread for me. I read it, I don't know, when it first came out 20 years ago or something. Well, I couldn't find it anywhere, and I was just going to order it on Amazon Prime or Amazon. And so I went to Barnes & Noble today, and they had it. So I got it at Barnes & Noble, and I was looking around at the new books. And I had started, before I listened to the true crime book, that's scary, just a car on the side of the road out in the middle of nowhere. So I'd started listening to Close Every Door by Riley Sager, which is a new thriller. I listened to his first one, which was called Final Girls, and I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. It was a good concept. It was about these girls that had been, like, these killers had, like, killed, like, 5 or 6 people, you know, like in a horror movie, like, out in the woods and whatever, and there's always the final girl. Well, it was kind of like a spin on that idea, and there was, like, 4 final girls, and they were known, like, in the media as the final girls, and, so it's, like, one by one they're being, like, stalked, and, that book was good. I wouldn't say, I think it was his first one. And then, I would think Riley Sager is a guy. And then the second one, oh, maybe it's not. I think maybe I looked it up and it's a female. And then I looked it up. The second one is something that I don't know what it's called. But I have that on Audible. And then the third one is called Close Every Door or Lock Every Door. And it takes place in this old apartment building in New York City. So I have it, and I had started listening to it before I started listening to the true crime book, but I just was like not feeling it when I started listening to it. So I was like, well, maybe that's what I'll listen to tonight. Maybe I'll start listening to that tonight. And then I was going to hang out with my friend tonight, but his daughter went to bed early. And, yeah, so another week, another Sunday, another good Sunday. I love Sundays. I was thinking earlier today that I wanted to, like, look on YouTube and see if I could find the Ramona Quimby movies that were on PBS I used to get from the library. They're only like a half an hour long. I know there's a movie that's called like Ramona and Beezus, but I've never seen it. But the old ones I really like. I used to get them from the library, and I would watch them on Sundays, and it always made me feel really, really homey back in the day. On Sundays, I don't know why, maybe this would remind me of my mom or something, but back in the day, I would make, well, my ex and I forgot this. We used to go to this talking about the Chinese buffet. We used to go to this Chinese buffet in Indianapolis, and it was called Forbidden City Buffet, and it was like an upscale Chinese food restaurant, and it was so delicious. We used to go there on Sundays a lot, and then we would rent movies. The other thing that we used to do, this was when we first started dating, and we were like together on the weekends, and we would go home on, like, if I was with him, I would come back on Monday, or vice versa. And we would rent, like, well, I guess we did that later too, because we did Lost. But we would rent, like, we would go to, like, Best Buy and buy an entire season of a TV show. I mean, now you can just Netflix that stuff, but I think Netflix existed back then, because I can remember I used to get DVDs in the mail from Netflix. You'd, like, send them back and get the new one. Do you remember that? But, and you would have them, like, in your queue. So whatever your next one was in your queue was the next one that got delivered. But we would go to Best Buy on, like, a Friday night, and we would buy, like, some TV series, like, I was talking about this the other day, Heroes, because we started watching that and thought it was stupid, so we never finished that. But we watched, like, a lot of the America's Next Top Model. Like, we would watch, like, all the cycles. just straight through. The Amazing Race we watched. We liked the reality show ones. And then we did Lost. I used to binge watch a lot of shows like that. I've got so many shows right now I need to binge watch. I haven't watched any more of Orange is the New Black since the last time I talked about it on here. And, Grace and Frankie, I think I have like 2.5 episodes left. And what else? Wentworth, Big Little Lies. I asked Alex, I said, is it good? He goes, yeah. And I said, is it good as the first season? And he's like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's just as good as the first season. I was trying not to sit there and listen to it because I was like, I don't want it to be ruined for me. He watched all of his reality shows today, like back to, well, I guess he was watching those first. He was catching up on like Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, and then he was watching X on the Beach, I think. I was asking him if he watches A Bachelor in Paradise because Tanya loves that show, and I guess it just started. And he was like, no, I don't watch that. My brother-in-law and his girlfriend, they have so many things for us to do in San Diego. They're like firing all these things. They're like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do you want to rent a boat? I was like, yeah, I'm down to do anything. They're like, Alex is like, we're going to get a paddle boat and go out on the ocean. And I just looked at him. And they just like kind of like, we're just sitting there. And I go, I'm not getting in a paddle boat and going out in the ocean. And Alex is like, why not? He knows, like, I'm totally scared of the sharks. My husband sends me, like, videos of, like, great white sharks and stuff like that. He thinks it's hilarious. So all of a sudden, all three of them start laughing. And his girlfriend's so sweet. And she was like, we're going to get, like, a speedboat and go out. And we can either have it chartered or we can just take it out ourselves. It's like, whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm down to do that. That's fine. And she's like, or we can do like a dinner cruise, and they've got like all these things like planned for us. So I'm excited about San Diego, and I'm excited because I've never been there. You know, I don't know anything about it. And then we have a music festival that we're going to on the weekend, and I think Alex's cousin is coming from Las Vegas for that too, so that'll be real fun. And then I think we leave, I think that's Saturday and Sunday, and I think Alex said we leave Monday, but I think we leave Tuesday. Yeah, so if there are things that you think that I should do in San Diego, put it in the comment section below. I'm not opposed to going to the zoo, but that's not number one on my list. I will tell you that. I know the San Diego Zoo is supposed to be great, but like, I don't know. I'm kind of at this point in my vegetarianism, in all honesty, that I don't know how I feel about zoos, and it kind of makes me sad because I used to love to go when I was younger, but I've read a lot about zoos, and I just don't know how I feel about them. I'm kind of like, I don't know. You know, Melissa is like really, really into like animals, which is interesting that she's not a vegetarian, but she's like really interested in like into animal rights and things like that. And she was telling me some stuff about like the Indianapolis Zoo and not like horrible things. She's like, you know, as far as zoos go, it's actually like a pretty humane zoo. She was like, but it still has its problems because all zoos have its problems. And I don't know, it just reminds me of like when if you watch Blackfish, and I know people are like, well, Blackfish came out, they said it wasn't true, and blah, 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 but you never know, right? I don't know. I was supposed to read some comments on here. Maybe I'll stop up here when I get to the gas station and read some comments. Somebody asked me to do that in a video, so I don't mind doing that. I need to go through my audiobooks and see what I want to read. So apparently people have been asking the candle company for me to also come out with another Halloween candle. So do you guys have suggestions for a Halloween candle, scents that you would like maybe? Put it in the comment section below. I suggested some things to her. I don't really know what we would call it or anything. My mom used to have Halloween parties every year, I think I've talked about this on here, but my mom was the one, like Caroline then took over, but my mom would have chilly Halloween parties, and she called them come as you aren't parties. And so everybody had to like dress up, which nobody did. And then she would always my mom would always just wear this black witch's hat that she had, like satin witch's hat. And then she would have, she had these little like, she put little placards next to the food, and she would have like cheese and crackers, and she'd call it finger food, and she'd have like a fake finger on it. And then she would have like a bowl of like punch, and it would have like eyeballs floating in it, and she would call it like eyeball punch or eyeball stew and stuff like that. It was real cute. And she used to always, she must have mass bought these invitations. You know, I always talk about how she bought cards and stuff on sale. She must have mass bought these invitations, because she had these invitations and for years would send them out. Well, of course, it was just like me, Caroline, and my aunt and uncle. So, of course, you know, I guess if you had 30 invitations, that's 10 years or something, right? And she invited some of my friends through the years too and stuff, but she called them, the invitation said, come as you aren't. Like, you know, like the saying, like, come as you are. Isn't that a Nirvana song? But anyway, but it was like, come as you aren't. And it had like a Halloween little figure on it, like a ghosty or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, I have one somewhere. She must have bought a bunch of those. And the other thing is, my mother on Easter, like I don't know when she bought them, but like she must have bought a bag full of these things, because every year for Easter, I literally, like, I got an Easter basket every year. And some people will probably remember this, but when my mom was in the hospital, she was in the hospital over Easter, and I found in her closet, like her wrapping station, I found hidden in this hamper, like my Easter basket that she was putting together for me. She would always start it like long in advance. And I saw that and I just like lost it completely. But she would always put these little yellow chicks that had these 2 plastic feet on them, and they were like literally like that big. They were like these little plastic, or little chickens, and they were like, or chicks, and they were like real fuzzy. Like they had like 2 little eyes glued on them. They were round, like little puff balls, like that big. And they had 2 little plastic. If you guys know what I'm talking about, my mother would put those like, and she would send me an Easter card, and it would have one of those in there, an Easter basket, and it would have those all over there. So yeah, but my mother loved Halloween. She loved holidays. My mother just loved holidays, you know. For Christmas, she would put out everything. Like, I'm starting to kind of get rid of a lot of it because it's not stuff that I'm going to use. But, you know, she had, like those, you know, holly and ivy, like, plastic things that were like leaves. They're plastic though, and they're like so old now they kind of look junky, but she put like a red candle in it. She had those all over the house, and she would have like Christmas books laid out, like, you know, picture books and stuff that she would have laid out. And for Easter, my mom collected these lambs, and she would have like glass porcelain ones and fuzzy ones. And one year, my mom's friend, I think this is the one that my mother loved lambs. It was like her favorite animal of life. And one year, it was interesting because at her funeral, I said to the pastor of the church that my mom went to, I said, who was like, the old pastor had retired like a year before that she was like really close with. And so it was a new pastor. And my mom was actually going to another church too, but that was like her church where we had the funeral. And when my aunt and I went there to like plan the service, I said, my mom loved lambs. Is there like, oh, it's going to stop. Hold on. So when we were planning the service, I was like, do you have some songs about lambs, you know? And I was thinking about like, I don't know. He was like, oh yes, we can come up with some songs. And he came up with a song, and it was like, bring the lambs to the slaughter or something. Okay, this is a Lutheran church. It's not like some Hey Lordy Mama church. It's just, you know. And I was like, I don't know what I think about that hymn. So anyway. But my mother loved holidays. She loved them so much. Oh, but in her casket, I put one of these lambs in there. And my mom, one of her really good friends, so people always knew that my mom collected lambs, but they were like really unique lambs. They weren't just like, you know, ones that you would get at the Hallmark store. And they were just really unique and different. And my mom had this one, and it was actually lamb's wool. It was like wood, like their legs the lamb's leg was wooden. It was like 4 little wooden posts, and the rest of the lamb was like made with lamb's wool, and it was made by these nuns at some university or something. And my mom's, or somewhere, I can't remember. It was made by nuns, and my mom was always kind of attracted to the life of a nun. She thought it was very pure. My mom had often thought about, what do you call it when you become another religion? Why can't I think of the word? Because she was actually raised Episcopalian, and then she converted. She converted to being Lutheran, and my dad was like, there's 2 sects of being, 2 sects, S-E-C-T-S, of Lutheranism, and one is, I don't know what we were, but it was the less hardcore, and then there was Missouri Synod, and the one that we were was like, it's pretty like liberal. They're really liberal-minded about issues, and my mom loved that church. But she had actually often thought, I would say probably more so in like the last 5 or 10 years of her life, about converting to Catholicism. She loved there was something about the religion that she loved. I mean, she obviously saw, you know, a lot that was wrong with it, but she loved the purity of it. And one of the issues that she really had was their stance on homosexuality, and so for her, she was like, I could never do that because the Lutheran Church accepted it. Her part of the, you know, or the Lutheran Church that she went to accepted it, but Catholic Church didn't on some level, or a lot. But I don't remember. I feel kind of ignorant about this, saying this right now, but I feel like the Pope came out several years ago and made a different statement about it, but I still could be wrong about that. I don't know. My mom was interesting when it came to religion. You know, she was kind of, I would say, a highly religious person, but she never talked about it. You know, but she would definitely be like, she would read from the Bible. She was in like a Bible reading group, like not all the time, but she would, like, one year she would do it, and then she would take away from it. But she, I would say, was a woman of really strong faith, but like kind of like a wise religious woman. Like, she really understood it and like how to apply it to your life. Like, that's who, like, she would take scripture and then like apply it, but she would never quote it. Like, that was the thing. She was like not somebody that ever quoted it, you know. But like I can remember one time talking to my mom about like a relationship that I was in that had ended, and that, you know, I said something, we were talking about prayer in a spiritual level from, you know, being in recovery, and I said, well, I'm praying maybe that relationship will work. And she said, she was like, oh, sweetie, we don't pray for things to work out. And I said, I don't know what you mean. And she goes, well, we don't pray for those kinds of things. She was like, you know, of course we have free will, but she's like, we pray for things for like love, compassion, tolerance, kindness, understanding. And she was like, you know, then if something happens, then we pray for understanding or tolerance of that situation. She was like, but we don't pray for things. God's not like a lottery. He doesn't grant like that we were, you know, win the lottery or something like that, you know. And you know, and she gave me a lot of suggestions. You know, she would say sometimes, you know, she would say things to me like, you know, if I was upset about something, you know, she would say, well, God's hand may be in that in a way that you don't necessarily see today, but down the road you might, you know. And she was just very wise with it, and she really studied it, and she really understood it. And she wasn't somebody that blindly accepted faith. Like, she just didn't. She questioned a lot. And the other thing that's important to know is that my mother really had a lot of interest in Eastern religions as well, all of her life, but really, I would say, towards the end of her life, she really had a lot of interest in Buddhism and Hinduism, and read a lot about it, and was really very well versed on it, knew a lot about it. And one of her favorite books that she ever read was called Living Buddha, Living Christ, and it was about the similarities between Buddha and Christ. She would talk about it a lot, and that it really was not so much about the figureheads as it was about the tenets of compassion, kindness, love, you know, understanding, tolerance, and things like that. And she really believed in those things, and she practiced those things, forgiveness, you know. And you know, she would say to me, like, forgiveness isn't for the other person, forgiveness is for you, and it's an action, you know, it's something that you have to practice. And she'd say, don't do it until you're ready, because you're the one that's going to suffer in the long run. Okay, I'm back. My battery died. I have kind of a funny story, actually. Funny, I don't know if it's funny, but, and I do remember what I was talking about, because I, like, tried to program it in my head. I was like, okay, don't forget that I was talking about this. So my battery died, and then I was way out in the middle of nowhere, so there was really nowhere to pull over except for some, like, side country road, and I was not doing that tonight. And so, I started listening to my audiobook. I was like, well, I'll drive back into town and then I'll like change my battery. And I was listening to my audiobook, and then I got really super hooked on my audiobook, and it's Lock Every Doors by Riley Sager. It's really good, you guys. It's very spooky strange. It's very good. It's about this girl that gets paid $4,000 a month to go live in this old building in New York City. I don't want to tell you guys any more than that. It's a really good thriller. It just came out probably like a month or two ago. It kind of reminded me of something else when I started listening to it. And I don't know why the other day when I started listening to it, I was like, I can't really get into this. And then tonight when I was listening to it, I was just like super intrigued by it. And so I just kept on driving and listening to it. And then I was like, I've got a vlog still. I've got to finish my vlog. And I was going to pull in and I was going to answer comments and stuff like that, but I'm not going to do that because I'm going to turn around up here and then I am going to head home. So, yeah. It was interesting, like there was a comment in the book. So there was a comment at the beginning of the book, not a comment. She said something at the beginning of the book about, well, she gets offered this money, right, to go like live in this luxurious apartment. And she's talking about her sister, and she's like, my sister said something like, every once in a while life offers you the opportunity to hit the reset button. And I thought that was kind of like an interesting statement. You know, I was thinking about that, like, just in life. I'm like looking for a good place to turn around so I can head back home. I don't want to turn around in there. You know, like when you look back on your life, like if you could hit the reset button at a certain point in your life, would you? It got me really thinking. You know, when I look back on like next year will be 30 years since I graduated from high school. It seems so crazy to think that it's been 30 years. I was talking about my mom and her belief in Eastern religion. I don't know if I'll ever get back to that tonight. Does anybody care? I don't think anybody cares. I'm just going to turn around right here. This little side street here. Ooh, that's spooky. That little side street. No, I don't want to be right there. You know, when I look back on like the last 30 years of my life, God, it seems so bizarre to say that, to say the last 30 years of my life. You know, it's weird. Like in my head, like when I tell stories about like high school and I tell stories about like the first couple years getting sober and stuff, like I guess like when I'm telling the story, it feels like when I'm telling the story, it feels like it was just yesterday, but it really doesn't feel like it was just yesterday. It really does feel like it was a long time ago. I mean, it really, really does, you know? I mean, I think about my, like, friends in high school and my friends in early sobriety and things like that, and the friends I had before I got sober, and it feels like it was a really long time ago. It really does. And, you know, I mean, 30 years is a long time. You know, I was thinking the other day, like, my dad's gonna be 79. So he's almost, so he's 32 years older than me. Because he was 32, I guess, when I was born. And, you know, I think about how active he is, and, you know, he still enjoys his life and has a great life and stuff, and that sometimes I get very fixated in feeling like my life is half over, and it probably is. Who knows? I don't know. But, you know, my dad's had a really good last 30 years. Like, I mean, I think about his 50s. Like, my dad's 50s were probably some of the best years of his life. And he would say that, you know, that he really enjoyed his 50s. And in his 50s and 60s, travel. They travel, but they don't travel as much as they used to. Traveled tons. I mean, they were constantly traveling, you know? And doing all kinds of different stuff. Like, my dad just, you know, they just did all kinds of things, you know, and I think about that I'm exiting, you know, my last couple years of my 40s and going into my 50s and then my 60s, and I still have really good years left, you know? But at the same time, like, I was talking, I don't know who I was talking to about this, but I was saying that, you know, like, I think the fact that my mom, that when she died young, or she died and I was young, I was 36, you know, 35, gonna be 36. Like, I feel like it really messed with me. It really messed with, I don't know, my perception of just, like, you know, looking at the span of life and things like that. Not right away. It wasn't right away. You know, like, for the first couple years, I felt really alive. You know, and I think the whole idea of, like, you better live your life while you're here, because, you know, one second you're here, the next second you're not. Life is short, life is fragile. I believe all those things. But then something happened, and I got kind of stuck in fearing the end, or feeling like the clock is ticking fast, you know, and, I mean, you know, sometimes it's crazy to me to think, like, that Alex and I have been together 11 years. We've been together, like, almost twice as long as my ex and I were together, you know, and a third of my adult life that I've been with Alex. The fact that we've been married, it'll be 8 years at the end of this month that we've been married, you know, and it's a long time. 11 years is a long time. There's this cardboard box all over the road. And, like, when we were telling stories at brunch today, like, some of the things that we were talking about seemed like they were, like, they are starting to seem like they were really a long time ago, you know? Like, right now, like, I'm, like, going back through my life, and I'm thinking about, like, stages of my life, you know? Periods of my life, and I'm like, would I go back and, you know, hit the reset button and start over somewhere, or today? But I don't really feel like I have anything that I would want to reset my button on today. Like, I feel very happy. I feel blessed with my life today, you know? I have a life beyond my wildest dreams, and I mean, I really, really do. I think also I have, you know, there's a focal point that I've always had since I got sober, that, like, life was so low that anything better than that, it just got really hot in here, I don't know why. But anything better than that is good, and my life just looks so incredibly great compared to when I first got sober. Like, there's no comparison, none whatsoever, you know? And so I think about how bad it was, and that relationships have been repaired, and, you know, that I have good relationships with people in my life today, and that I have friends and family surrounding me, and, you know, a home, and a car, and a dog, food on the table. I don't worry about those kinds of things. You know, those were things I worried about back in the day. Everybody upset with me, and, you know, I just was, I don't know, like, it's a different world today, you know, and, a whole new world, and I feel blessed by that. I really, really do. And, my relationship with my dad is something that I honestly never thought would be repaired, you know, and I look at where it was, and I look at where it is now, and I'm like, that's a miracle in itself, you know. I did so much damage to my relationship with my dad, and you know, the fact that, I don't know, I just did a, you know, like, And, when I got sober, they told me that. They said, relationships will be repaired, and, I don't know. The last year's been a good year for me to kind of really evaluate is the wrong word. I would say, look back on my life and think about, who I was, who I am now, who I want to be. So I don't necessarily know, like, that whole idea of, like, hitting the reset button. I mean, I've heard people say that before. I mean, I like the idea of reinventing yourself. I think reinventing yourself is one thing. I think hitting the reset button, I don't know if I would do that. Because I've learned so much from everything that I've gone through, like, I really have. I don't know, would you? Would you hit the reset button? If you could go start back time over. Like, Caroline and I were talking one day, and she was like, well, wouldn't you just love to have, like, one more day with Grandma and, your mom and my mom? And I was like, well, of course I would. I would love to have that, But I also live in a realistic world where I know that that's not an option. And for me to sit there and be, think about that all the time, I think is rather pointless. It's like, because then I would just be sad all the time, you know what I mean? I don't want to be sad all the time. I want to enjoy my life. And I think, like, that's the one thing about having lost, like, my mom, my aunt, my uncle that I know, is that, like, they would say to Caroline and I, enjoy your life. Like, we had wonderful lives, enjoy your life. I know my mother would say that. I remember years ago, like, my ex and I had talked about the possibility of moving to, like, a Caribbean island, because we used to travel a lot to the Caribbean. And I had said something about, like, wanting to maybe move to, like, a Caribbean island or something. And my dad was like, I was sitting at my dad's house on his patio, we were talking, he's like, well, why don't you? And I was like, well, I mean, I wouldn't do that while Mom was still here. He was like, why not? And I always had this kind of, like, idea in my head that, like, my mom would, like, who would she be if it wasn't for me, like, being around? Like, I felt like she needed me, which because she acted like she did, But I was like, I mean, what would I mean, like, I can't leave Mom, And he was like, your mom would be really upset if she knew that. She would tell you to live your life. And I think it's important to know that, especially, like, when you're, going through grieving and things like that, to really ask yourself, what would that person say? I mean, I know that my mother would have said, well, sure, I want you to be sad and miss me for a little bit. Of course I do, But at the same time, I also want you to live your life and enjoy your life. It's like that movie Up, that movie, like, really hit me at a certain time when I saw it, where she's like, thank you for the adventure, now have an adventure of your own. I think we all deserve to have that adventure, you know what I mean? I don't think I would reset. I would hit the reset button. I think I've learned, so much in life. I'm not the person that I was 20 years ago. I'm not the person I was 10 years ago. I'm not the person I was a year ago. I'm not the person I was a week ago. Because I learn things as I go. And I think we all do, you know what I mean? I think maybe we're not sometimes aware of what we learn, but, like, sometimes, it plays out. I don't know. I don't know why listening to this thriller book got me really thinking in my head about that. But it's the whole idea. It's like, if you could go back in any time in your life and start over from that point, would you? I don't know. Like, because then what would you have to give up? Like, there's so many things that you would have to give up in life. I don't know. Maybe I would. Maybe maybe there's points in my life that I would go back. I don't know. I don't, like, when people say that they don't have any, like, they live their life with no regrets. I'm not necessarily a person that can say that. But I also think that the opposite of that is the refusal of the lesson, you know, and I think, like, that's really, for me, what life is about, you know? It's also like the Maya Angelou saying, you know, like when she said to Oprah, you know, when you're in the middle of the biggest tragedy, look up and say thank you because you're about to learn one of the most valuable lessons of your life. I think in that moment, that's hard, you know, to be like, okay, I'm grateful for the fact that I'm going through this. Guys like sounds. I love when people comment on my vlog and they'll say like, oh, I love the sound of this, or I love the sound of that, or I love the sound of the rain when it's raining outside your car, or I love the sound of So a lot of people have been asking lately why I drive around in a car at night and vlog, which I do think is kind of funny. Am I like the only channel that vlogs for like an hour a night and drives around and vlogs? Okay, so here's the thing. It's just not real deep, right? So my husband goes to bed and we have a loft condo. So it's not like I can vlog at home, and I don't want to just sit on the front porch and hold the camera like this and vlog, right? And other than like driving through, you know, Starbucks to get coffee and having you guys in the car with me while I run errands, there's not a lot that I can show in my life. I'm not willing to put my friends and my family in my vlogs anymore. I'm just not. Their privacy and my relationship with them is more important than my vlog. I would love to, you know, I would love to, like yesterday I was thinking, Alex was like, you should vlog this, and I just kind of looked at him and he was like, I know. You know, like, I'm not gonna vlog something, and I'm not gonna put other people, it's my choice to have a vlog, you know, it's my choice to have the YouTube channels, but I don't want my friends and family affected by that to the least that they have to be, you know. It's like, Tanya chooses not to be in the vlogs anymore, and I respect that, you know. She's like, I don't want to be part of the vlog anymore. She was like, people are critical, they don't know the truth, and she's like, I just don't want to be part of that anymore. And she was like, and you know, she's extremely protective of me, and whenever Alex is in a video with me, it's because he usually asks. He'll be like, oh, you're gonna do a review, can I do that with you? And I'll be like, oh yeah, sure, you want to do this, you know, whatever, you know, like. But I've just chosen to leave my family and friends out of my vlog at this point, you know. It's just not, their privacy is just not worth it to me. And you know, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that I can't, you know, show what my life looks like on a daily basis and stuff like that, but that's okay. But that's why I drive around in a car at night and I vlog. Plus, it's really good for me. Like, it's really cathartic. It's kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's kind of like journaling at the end of the day, you know? And, I don't know, Tanya might be in a vlog sometime again. I just don't ever ask anymore, you know? And, you know, Tanya, as my best friend, has had a difficult time, as has my husband, with the cruel side of YouTube, and they're real protective of that, and, you know, of me. And so, you know, Tanya's just somebody that, like, she's like, I'm not gonna participate in that if people are gonna take things and spin them, and there's gonna be, you know, like cruelty, that kind of shit, because I'm not willing to, you know, do that. And she's probably, I mean, she and Alex are so supportive of the YouTube thing. They know that I love doing it. They know that I love making videos and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, I think it's hard for her sometimes. She doesn't really get it. She'll say, how do you deal with people like saying things that are so untrue about you? And I'm like, I mean, what do I do about it, Tanya? It's not like I can do anything, you know? She's like, I don't know how you do it. I'm like, well, I focus on the positive. I focus on the fact that I feel blessed that I have people that want to watch my channels, and, you know, that I have a lot of people that let me know that just by driving around in a car, it helps them. And that means a lot to me, you know? It means a lot to me that somebody that's going through a hard time is watching my video, and on some level, me just talking about random BS helps them, you know? And, you know, I think the last year has been really good for me to stay in my lane and do what I love to do and focus on the positive and try to focus on being the best person that I can be, you know? And working on myself and realizing that the priorities in my life are my husband, my best friend, my friends, my family, my dogs, you know, my home, those kinds of things. I don't ever want to lose sight of that, ever. I think there's a lot of people that get very caught up in the YouTube game, or just, you know, whatever, you know, all of it, like, whatever it is you do. It could be any, you know, could it be any career or work or, you know, whatever, that become kind of all consumed with it. And I don't know, maybe I was going in that direction, and I don't want to be that, you know? The review channel has been great for me. I love doing videos on that review channel. It's been so much fun, you know, like, I love everything about it. And the drama channel is where I get to, like, flip fans and have fun and haha, and, you know, my Peterisms channel, I love that channel where I get to read meditations and just kind of speak about whatever's going through my head that day. And, you know, my booktube channel is my passion, and then my vlog it's basically like a living journal, and it's so cathartic for me and therapeutic. And, you know, and then I read your comments, and people are like, you know, it's so nice that, or thank you so much for doing this, and, you know, I've been going through a hard time, or I love listening to you when I go to sleep at night, or I listen to you when I'm doing the dishes or cooking dinner. And, like, the fact that I get to be part of somebody's life is just unbelievable to me. It's like at 22 minutes and 54 seconds. But it's just unbelievable to me that I get to be part of somebody's life, you know, like that. And that's something that I never thought. And in a weird way, this vlog that, like, I never expected to start, has really become, to me, I mean, I love all of my channels, but it's become, like, I think my favorite of all of it, you know? And, you know, maybe one day I will get to the point where I feel like I can, you know, vlog a family barbecue, and, you know, Tanya will be willing to be in a car and have a conversation, you know, and, Alex doesn't really care. I mean, like, he would be in it if I asked, but the other thing is, you know, like, it was at the end. The other thing is, like, why I drive late at night is, like, you know, so I film 4 other videos. I think everybody knows that. And so, like, throughout the day, I like to listen to my audiobook or talk on the phone or whatever. Let's see if this country road is open down here. I don't always love just to have the camera on. And so, like, when I'm at home and stuff, like, when Alex wouldn't care if I had it on, I'm, like, laying on the couch next to him, you know, while he's, like, going through his phone or watching TV. And I'm like, how was your day? Good. What time do you work tomorrow? You know, are you excited about Vegas? Yeah. Oh, have you thought about this table? You know, where do you want to go to dinner tomorrow night? Stuff that couples talk about. It's really not that deep, you know? And, you know, or we'll lay in bed and just kind of lay on each other and show each other funny stuff that we found on Instagram or whatever. And, you know, but those are also private moments, and I don't always want to have I don't always want to have the camera on in those things, you know what I mean? Like, those are moments between Alex and I. So I think a lot of the normalcy of what my life looks like stopping by the kennel and talking to Tanya and the girls, and, you know, her showing me some cute dogs they have or something, like, I don't show that, like, in a vlog, where I think, like, other people would, but I don't, because I'm real protective of those people, you know? And yeah, you know, I'm just really protective of them. And don't know, maybe at some point I will. I'd love to do that, you know? I'd love to be able to show everything that I do in my day, in my life, and whatever, but just because I decide to be on YouTube doesn't mean that everybody in my life decided to be on YouTube, you know what I mean? And, so, someday. It's also like weird because like even though I would show all that stuff, at the same time it's like I love just driving around and talking. Like I enjoy this. Like this is like, it's healthy for me. It's like I said, it's cathartic, it's therapeutic. It's like I get stuff out, you know, like that just stupid stuff, stories, you know, or just random, you know, talking about stuff. Like, I mean, other than Mel, I don't really have anybody to talk to about books. Tanya and I read such completely different books, you know, and, did they open this road up? Oh, it's closed down there. They like opened it right here and then closed it down there. That's crazy. Well, I'm gonna have to turn around and go back then. But, I mean, Tanya and I talk about books, but, did I tell you this? Okay, so she told me all about this book. Oh, I did talk about this on here. And then I found out it's like this bestseller on Audible that I want to read, but I already know how it ends. And she told me it was dumb. Then I told her, and she goes, I never read that book. And I was like, yes, you did. And then she like looked it up. She was like, oh yeah, I remember reading this book. She goes, oh, that was really good. I was like, Tanya, you told me it was horrible, then I shouldn't read it. And that's why you told me the whole book. You know, sometimes too, Tanya will be like if I'm like go over to their house and I'm just like sitting with her and Eric and stuff, she'll be like, go get your vlogging camera on. Or like if I go over to the kennel with her late at night, like while she's letting the dogs out and stuff, she'll be like, just get your vlogging camera and just like vlog in here. And I think like in a situation like that, she would probably do it. She doesn't like to be like right here on camera either. That's like the other thing. She was getting used to it for a while, but then she's like, she doesn't like it. It's like she'll be like, I feel like it's right up on me, which I don't even notice, you know. So I don't know. Y'all want Tanya back in a vlog? You want Alex in some vlogs? Put it in the comment section below. I do kind of think that like Jesse and Fufu and his girlfriend, they want to be like in the vlogs, because she was like, we've got all this kind of stuff planned for you. We've got really exciting places to take you to vlog. And I was like, good. I was like, when we went to Mexico, they really enjoyed the travel vlogs. I'm gonna have to turn around here out on a country road again, and I'm not having it. I'm not happy about it. Like there's literally no place to turn around, and it's like like the corn. Do you guys want to see this? Look, it's spooky. Look at this. I mean, the corn is really high. It's like Children of the Corn out here. So, and then other people were wondering why I like sleep so late and then I get up and vlog. Well, because my sleep schedule sucks. I mean, and it's just not any deeper than that. It's just my sleep schedule sucks. Has anybody figured out yet that I kind of live like a non-uniform life? Okay, can I just tell you, this is the weirdest thing. I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and look at this ginormous house just sitting out here in the middle of nowhere. Isn't that crazy? I think this is a weird place to build a house. Like, well, maybe they're farmers or something. Yeah, I have a real messed up sleep schedule, and I'm totally aware of it. And I don't know that it'll ever be fixed in my life. Sometimes I go to bed like real early, like, you know, last week when I had to get up, I did this like twice, where I like went to bed and then like I got up and I vlogged in the morning, which that totally threw off a lot of people, and it threw off me. Now, where did that truck come from behind me? Just out of nowhere. And it's like, candy cane. I get myself so spooked sometimes, you guys, driving and listening to audiobooks late at night. That is one time, I will tell you that, like, that is one thing that I sometimes choose to not drive, like, out in the country, because I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I get a little spooked by it. But if you're new to my channel and you're the ones wondering about those things, thank you for asking. I'm just one of those regular weird people. Isn't that what normal weird people or something like that? Isn't that what Janis Joplin said? She also said, and I put this on my Twitter yesterday and my Instagram because I believe it too, never compromise yourself. You're all you've got. And I believe that. Never compromise yourself. Tragic ending to somebody that was so wise, isn't it? So sad that her addiction got in the way of her wisdom and her beauty and her creativity. Never had to happen. So many people lost to addiction, you know? It's like whenever I hear about one more person that's passed on, you know, that I know, or, I mean, it seems like a week doesn't go by where indirectly somebody that I know, somebody that I sat in a meeting with, or somebody that I've interacted with, you know, that has passed from an overdose or something. It's just like constantly a reminder to me, you know, like the fragility of life and how short life is and stuff. This little house right here in the corner, I don't think anybody lives in it, but I just want to show you. I've shown it before in vlogs. It is so cute, and it has all of these. I think it's like it might be like a historic home or something. It's like a little small town over here, but I don't think there's anybody that lives in that house. It's so cute. Yep, life is short, make the most of it. All right, you guys, if you've made it this far in the vlog, put a blue heart below. I'm gonna get off here. And I'm going to finish up my audiobook. Well, not finish it, but I'm going to listen to my audiobook on the way home once I get back up here on the interstate. And, yeah, I hope you guys are having an amazing Monday, unless you have other plans, but don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. Have a great week. Set it in motion on a positive. Start your week off with a great day. And if you're watching this Monday night going into Tuesday, just continue having a great week. Do something fun. Take some risks this week. And be kind to yourself. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Look at yourself in the mirror every single day and tell yourself good things about yourself. I love you. And I love you. I looked right past the mirror. And tell yourself good things about yourself every day. You deserve to treat yourself well. And most importantly, make sure to pass on to somebody else how important they are to you, and how much they mean to you. Don't forget, it's not just something I say. Actually do it. It's important. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.